anytime I get to present a lesson on Wednesday nights, first, I have to remind myself, keep it short. But second, I always like to give a lesson that's uplifting, something to help put a little pep in your step as you go throughout the rest of the week. And as I was thinking about it today, I was thinking about some of the struggles that we face, the things that are shoved in our face. And one of the biggest things that I think the devil does in this world, and the biggest ways that he tries to get us, is he devalues us. He tells you you're not good enough. You're not worth it. He's convinced the entire world that human life really isn't as valuable as it should be. And whenever he convinces you that you're not good enough, that you're not worth it, that God doesn't really love you, that's the easiest way to get you. That's whenever you're at your lowest, is whenever you think that you're not worth it. And so tonight, as I was thinking about this, I thought of 3 verses that I wanted to read and share with you to show us and remind us of the value that God has put on each and every one of our lives. The first verse is in Genesis 1. He opens the Bible clearly telling us our value. In Genesis 1, verse 26, it said, "And God said, Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his own image, and the image of God created he him, male and female created he them." God, from the very creation, he looks, and everything else he just created. But he says, I'm going to create man. Let's make him after our likeness. Let's make him like us. And then once he created us, he said, man is going to be over everything else. This is the pinnacle of my creation. From the very beginning, whenever God created everything, he made man and said, this is the pinnacle of my creation. This is the greatest thing that I have created. This is the best. Now let's look in Psalm chapter 139, verse 14. This is one of my favorite verses in the entire Bible. The last 2 are. Verse 14 says, "I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well." Here, the psalmist is saying, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. We saw God in the beginning. Now we see the psalmist here saying, I'm amazing. I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Each and every one of us in God's eyes are wonderful. He made us to be amazing, amazing people. Now our final verse is in 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7. And if I ever have a bad day, if I'm struggling, this is the verse I go to. 2 Timothy 1, verse 7 says, "For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." Whenever God created us, He didn't create us to be a being who fears things, who lives in fear, who is afraid. He didn't create us as a being who was told that they weren't worth it. God created us in Genesis 1 in His likeness and made us the pinnacle of His creation. Each and every one of us are fearfully and wonderfully made. And then in Timothy, Paul tells us that we are not given a spirit of fear, but of power and of love. Those 3 verses, if you take away every other verse in the Bible, should remind you of the value that God has put on you, the amazing power that He has given us. So whenever you hear that voice in the back of your head, or you hear the people around you, or even if you hear the devil saying, you're not worth it, you're not valuable, you're not enough, remind yourself that all throughout the Bible, God has given us over and over examples of why we are amazing. We're fearfully and wonderfully made, and we are His creation that is made to do amazing things. So as we go through the rest of this week, whenever you start to feel down, remind yourself of the amazing person you are and all the time, the energy, and the importance that God has placed on you, and carry that with you to put that little bit of pep in your step. If there's anything that you need from the congregation at this time, please come forward as we stand and sing.